Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's time for a match reaction. We just witnessed a good result for Celtic, didn't we? 3-0 against St Mirren at Celtic Park, the final game before the split fixtures and their Scottish Cup semi-final next week against Aberdeen. A lovely way to go into it. A decent performance as well. Some positives to talk about. I don't feel like there's many negatives, which is a welcome change for the 23-24 campaign. Like and subscribe, all that jazz if you haven't already. It would be much appreciated. Let's talk about the game, shall we? As I've said, Celtic 3, St Mirren 0. A good result for us today, which keeps us top of the table for now. Rangers play Ross County tomorrow. Can we rely on a wee helping hand from the Dingwall side? Who knows? Who cares? We've got to focus on ourselves. And I said yesterday, the paramount importance that has to be stressed on these games now to win every single one from now to the end of the season, and dominating performances to go along with that. We got exactly that today, didn't we? The team looked very good. We got by with ease. Once again, a kind of story of two halves, I thought, for Celtic, where that second half we blew them away and we played some really, really nice football. But just total control from start to finish. It's the way that I feel like 90% of Scottish Premiership home fixtures should be going down, and how we should be reviewing them. I mean that with all due respect, and I don't mean to be so disregarding of the rest of the teams in this league, but ultimately the quality that Celtic have, we should be walking away from Celtic Park talking about dominating performances from start to finish, from the first to the final whistle, and we haven't had that enough this season. There's been games at Celtic Park where it's been touch and go. There's been games we've relied on late goals. There's been games we've dropped points, and it's happened too often this season at Celtic Park. So to walk away with one of those traditional start to finish good performances, it feels good, it feels nice. And you know, that growing confidence that Brendan Rodgers spoke about in the media earlier in the week, I think was very much on display today. I think you've seen a Celtic side that's just looking even more comfortable as the games go by. And a big part of that is just with players returning. The fact that HATATE's back in and has a man of the match performance this afternoon just speaks volumes to the importance of him and the importance of having a fully fit side. When you've got all your best players fit and firing, it makes a world of difference to how you just watch the side play football. The heartbeat of the side is back in HATATE. And the comfort of having Cameron Carter-Vickers fit every week is back in the side. It's a good feeling. And despite missing, Dyson Maeda today, Liam Scales today, two players who have been an integral part of the starting 11 throughout the season, we managed to cope pretty well. I think there was definitely some weakness in that left-hand side that we will talk about as the match reaction goes on. But we managed to cope. We managed to get by. And ultimately we leave 3 goals better off than the opponents, 3 goals better off in the league table, and 3 points better off in the league table, which is basically the bare minimum now from here to the end of the season. I think that, as long as we're winning games, I'll be happy, but adding in these dominating performances are certainly a wanted bonus, it feels like. So should we try and do it as we always do? We'll go from start to finish, we'll try and talk about the game and see how we get on. Lovely stuff. Team selection went pretty much the way I expected it. The only difference from my prediction was Yang started on the left-hand side in place of the injured Dyson Maeda. Palmer not quite ready for the start yet, it seems. But the team was pretty much what I expected. Timoki started over McGregor. Nawrowski did get his opportunity over Stephen Welsh and Gustav Lagerbielke. He was in beside Cameron Carter-Vickers. Team selection was pretty spot on from the manager, but you did see that there was a little bit of weakness in certain areas in the park. The main one being that left-hand side today. I thought that Yang struggled. And I thought that Taylor struggled as well on the left-hand side today. I don't think either of the two of them had a vintage performance by any stretch of the imagination. Not going to be writing home about them and not going to be remembering it, to be quite honest. Yang struggled on that left-hand side. And I know he's not naturally a left-sided player, so I'm not going to go in and be harsh on the guy, for God's sake. But he didn't look that way that we've seen him play when he was growing in confidence. And I feel like over the past couple of weeks, and it was the same at Ibrox last week as well, I feel like your confidence has started to dip a bit again for Yang. And this is why when he started playing well, I was very weary of saying anything too daft. I've seen people on Twitter saying that he's fantastic, great, this, that, and next thing, and he's going to be a big player for us. I'm like, give him time, let him get confident, let him build on the performances. Today wasn't that great, and that's not me writing them off either, but I think that you noticed that difference between him and a Dyson Maida, and even him and a Lewis Palmer on that left-hand side. For me, I thought the difference was stark. And I think that's where we struggled most in the first half. I don't think it was just the left-hand side. I think the right, we struggled in the wide areas, I think, throughout the first half at times, just to get that final bit of magic done. And you know what? It was through the middle. The story of the first half for me was that Celtic were all over St Mirren. We were the much better side. We were probably deserving of a goal. But we just couldn't get the final bit done. In the final third, we just couldn't get that last bit of magic out of us. We couldn't get the shot away. We couldn't get the chance created. We'd build and build and build, but we just never had that confidence in the final third that we seemed to find in the second half. We didn't seem to find that confidence at the start of the game that we found 20 seconds into the game at Ibrox last week. It was a much slower tempo to the Celtic side the first half today. For as much control and for as much as the ball as we had, it just wasn't paying off in the end when we got to the final third. And it was quite frustrating as the half went on, because we'd build the ball forward, and then next thing you know, it's back at Cameron Carter-Vickers' feet, or it's back at Joe Hart's feet, and we're starting again. We'd get down the left-hand side, realise we can't do anything, it'd go back to the middle with the centre halves. We'd go down the right-hand side with Kuhn, realise we couldn't do anything, and we'd get it back to Cameron Carter-Vickers or Mike Nawrowski. That was just how the first half was panning out for us, I felt. It was like, you know, going all that way forward just to go back. And we just couldn't break St Mirren down. Sorry, pardon me. We couldn't break St Mirren down when it got to the final third to just create that chance. And that was something that was alarming heading into the second half, because St Mirren, credit to them, were doing that. They were forcing us to make those decisions and forcing the difficult side of life into the game. But it was worrying, because you're like, if this goes on for the rest of the second half or the rest of the game, we could be in trouble, and we had to find a way to solve it, and luckily we did. But, you know, we weren't bad by any stretch of the imagination. I wouldn't come out here and say we were awful in the first half. We just really struggled to find that bit of magic in the final third, and that can make life tedious. That can make a game tedious, and that's what just felt like a tedious first half to me, that we just couldn't find the back of the net. Had a couple of shots on goal that were blocked by St Mirren defenders, annoyingly. One thing that does drive me insane about the way that Celtic play at the minute is just that tendency to dribble the ball as close to the goal as possible. Get into the box and then just keep going and going and going. Have a shot. Make the pass. Don't hesitate. So many players are hesitant to take a shot. There's clear paths to go for a shot, and they just don't take them. And then when they do, there's a body in front of it. They wait too long. They're so scared to pull the trigger sometimes. I felt like there was a nervousness around this in the first half, just to get things off and get things done. But we lost that very quickly into the second half, which is incredibly handy. It wasn't cause for panic stations at half time. The manager just had to make suitable changes to how we were approaching the final third. And he done that, because second half we started really, really strong. Just over 5 minutes into the second half, Rio HATATE burst the net with his shot. Great finish. And it just speaks volumes to the player that you've got there in Rio HATATE. He was named the man of the match this afternoon for a reason. He's just brilliant. And that's the stuff I've been missing with him in the middle of the park. The way that he can just, you know, create an opportunity out of nothing sometimes. Or take a shot on and be brave. You miss that. And that's what a lot of people loved in the likes of David Turnbull. The fact that he was brave enough to shoot. And he was brave enough to take a half chance. And Rio HATATE today, I mean, he just blooters it and it goes flying into the top corner. It's a marvellous finish. And that just calmed the nerves for Celtic. The floodgates opened, and I think we really needed that goal at the point it came in the game, early in the second half, to open up St Mirren a little bit, force them to chase the game. They were kicking lumps out of us. They were doing that, the hammer throwing football, the Stephen Robinson special. They were kicking lumps into us. Referee was not doing his job. He was letting them away with murder. They were diving. Twice, 3 times, I think, through the game. He told us St Mirren player to get up for diving. Done nothing about it. No cards, no warnings, nothing. Just played, waved it off. But they were kicking lumps out of us. And we just had to expand the game a little bit for ourselves and drag them out. And I think that goal from Rio HATATE really done that for us early in the second half. And then 8 minutes later, bang, Kyogo's there with a header. It's a great ball. Alistair Johnson, by the way, not even acknowledged him. 2 assists. The assist for the first goal with a good pass to Rio HATATE. A great cross for Kyogo and the header for the second. He had a great game down that right-hand side. He's been getting better every week, Alistair Johnson, after a really poor start to the season, you could say. For his standards that he set when he came in, he started, and I said it would happen, because he's a great player. He's a great player, Alistair Johnson. We've seen it. If you have that quality, it doesn't just vanish. It's different if you come in and you're a guy like Yang, who maybe has 1 or 2 good games. No, Alistair Johnson was consistently good through the entirety of the second half of last season. Through the World Cup when we seen him there. He's just had a kind of rough start to this season. And now we're seeing the Alistair Johnson we're familiar with. 2 assists, great ball for Kyogo. It killed the game. Killed the game at 2-0, and St Mirren were never getting back into it. We had total control over them. We could toy about with them for a bit of the second half. The only annoying thing is the goal difference could have been even greater today. I think that we could have scored 5 or 6 in the second half alone. We should have scored 5 or 6. We forced a good few saves from the goalkeeper. We missed a couple of decent opportunities. Some crosses going over the face of goal. Just, typical things that happen in football when you create that many chances. You can't score them all unless you're playing Dundee. You can't score them all. And we were just unlucky not to find the net more often. But we were playing about with St Mirren in the second half. It was men against boys. We made our changes. The changes were effective. It allowed players to come into the game that have not seen many minutes recently. Callum McGregor, Stephen Welsh, Lewis Palmer returning. Some smart substitutions which actually did help us in the game. So I think the manager got it spot on, whatever he said at half time, whatever Brendan Rodgers told them to do and what to change. It worked. It's seen us score 3 goals. The icing on the cake was Adamida getting that one right before the end in the 86th minute. Good goal from him. He's still creating that conversation to sign him up permanently because he's been scoring goals. He scored last week at Ibrox. He scored here today. He's tally now at 7 goals, something like that. It's nuts for somebody who was coming in under a lot of scrutiny by people like myself. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't question the signing, but he's doing well, and he scored again today. We've got 2 strikers who are scoring goals. Kyogo scored today. Ida scored today. Ida scored last week as well. We've got 2 quality strikers scoring goals for us at the minute, which is a great situation to be in, and I was buzzing to see him score. So. Brilliant. I mean, there's no need for over-analysis in this game. We were in total control. We got the 3 points. We got the job done. We got a good performance into the bargain. I'm buzzing because it's a great way to end off this kind of first portion of the season before the split fixtures, because it's going to get tough now. We're going to have to play St Mirren again. We know what we can do. We know how we can play against them. We're going to have to play Rangers. We're going to have to play Hearts. We're going to have to play, obviously, St Mirren and Dundee. There's your split. So... Aye, happy days. Anybody else in the stadium today utterly confused at why we made 6 subs? I was baffled. I did not know this concussion substitute rule applied in Scotland. I'd never seen it with my own eyes before. And when we made that last sub today, I think it was it Forrest who came on last? When we made that sub, I was turned to Kieran and I was like, are we doing a leg of Warsaw here? Are we going to have to, forfeit the league for an ineligible substitution? Turns out because St Mirren made a concussion substitute, we allowed 1 extra substitution. Makes sense, it's fair. One team gets 6 subs, the other should get 6 subs. But I was so confused. I didn't know that rule existed up here. I took to Twitter very, very quickly to get my mind calm. The league title was flashing in front of my eyes as we made that 6th substitute. Me and Kieran had to sit and count them out. I was like, no, we've made 6, I'm telling you, I know it. And we did, but it was all within reason, and it was all fair, and no need to worry. Don't worry. And if you're wondering why it happened, concussion protocol allowed St Mirren an extra substitution, which then granted Celtic an extra sub. That was all you had to know. Right, I mean, I think I can wrap it up here. I've yapped and yapped and yapped. We now await the split fixtures to come out. We know who the teams will be playing are. I think it's now set. Dundee are pretty much safe, I think, in that top 6 as it stands. I don't think they can be caught. Maybe they can, actually. Maybe Hibs can overtake them. No, they can't. Hibs have played all their games. Yet Dundee are safe. So we know our teams in the split. So we need to wait till we'll probably Dundee play Rangers midweek to find out. So a couple of big games for us to sit and watch now. We've got Ross County taking on Rangers tomorrow. We've also got Dundee taking on Rangers on Wednesday. I assume Rangers will take all 6 points. But you never know. Who knows? But this time next week we could be in a nice position. So we'll just need to wait and see. And I'll be here on the channel every day to talk about whatever happens anyway. Aye. Good win for us today. Nice to be back at Celtic Park. It's felt like a fucking eternity. If you've enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Credit to all the players today. Even if you didn't play that well. Because we won. I feel good. Right, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.